So for me, really, the true highlight of this movie was the music. The music was great. I enjoyed it so much and will probably be downloading it, like I said, so that I can enjoy it on my own without having to watch the movie itself. Hey, this is The Sword and the Pen Reflections. It is my casual alternative to the more formal channel, The Sword and the Pen. Link up there. So first off, I want to apologize if you hear helicopters. I live really close to the Air Force Base here, and apparently they're doing drills with Apache helicopters all day, so sorry in advance. I saw Super Mario Brothers, the movie, last night with my nephew and my brother-in-law. This is not a movie I would go and see ever. I have never had a reason to go and see a little kid's movie like this, but it was, an opportunity, and I thought I'll do a review on it and see what I think about it. So, Super Mario Brothers has an all-star cast. It stars Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor Joy, Jack Black, what was his name? Charlie Day, and Joe Rogan, and a bunch of others. And it's clearly a movie targeted at children. It is not a movie that is targeted to children and their parents. I think the only older group that is going to really get a lot of enjoyment out of this are people who have a lot of familiarity with Super Mario Brothers or just enjoy the sound effects. And I'm one of those people. So I'm not very familiar with Super Mario Brothers, but I do really enjoy the music and the sound effects, and there was enough of that in there to kind of make me go, every once in a while. Or like, I heard that sound effect before. It was in the game, I can tell. So, the story is you have Mario and Luigi are plumbers in Brooklyn, New York, and they're trying to get their business going. And in an attempt to make a name for themselves, they decide to try to save the city from a busted water line that's down in the sewers. They go down under the streets and are transported to the magical Mushroom Kingdom. And while they're being transported, Luigi goes through one tube and Mario goes through another, and so they're separated. And now Mario is going to recruit the help of Toad and Princess Peach and Donkey Kong to help him rescue his brother Luigi, who Princess Peach has told him has been taken captive by Bowser. And then, they go through this adventure to rescue him, and then they also, in the process, have to defeat Bowser so that he doesn't take over all of the Mushroom Kingdom, or I think at one point Bowser states that his goal is to take over the universe or the world. I don't know. Either way, so Brooklyn by the end is in danger as well. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything big for people, adults who might be going in to see this. It's predictable where everything is going, but disclaimer, predictability is not always a bad thing. So my takeaway from this is that this movie was an enjoyable children's movie. And I don't mean young teens or older children. My nephew is, how old is he? He's 9, almost 10. I think he's in 3rd grade. And he did not laugh out loud in any major kind of way at any point during the whole movie. And there were people in the theater who were. There was at least one pair of adults in a couple rows behind us who were laughing at absolutely everything like it was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. But I didn't hear anybody else in the theater laughing like that, at least the adults. And there were enough children, because this was a Sunday night, there were enough adults and children. It wasn't late at night either because my nephew was with me, so it was actually only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so that's not really night. But it was not so impressive in the writing or the humor that I came away feeling like, wow, I want to go see that again. But I think it was a successful little kids movie. So younger than age 9, I think might really, really love this. And I don't think it's so irritating that an adult will go in there and be like, oh, get me out of here. It's got plenty of callbacks to the game that even somebody who hasn't played the game very much is going to sit there and go, oh, that was cute. Oh, that was fun. Oh, that's supposed to be Mario Kart, isn't it? That's definitely supposed to be Mario Kart. So I would not go and see it again. If I knew what it was going into it, somebody said, do you want to go and see it? I would probably say no. I thought this was going to be more like a Despicable Me or, How to Train Your Dragon is like a whole other level of animation. It's like kind of up there with the early Pixar, maybe even separate and above of that. But I was expecting something a little more appealing to adults in the writing, and it just wasn't. It was very much geared towards children, a lot of contrivances, no real focus on character development in any logical sort of way. But again, if this is supposed to be for little children, like ages 9 and younger, it was fine. It was a step up from, what you would see on Saturday morning. Well, they don't do cartoons anymore, do they? But Saturday morning CGI or whatever. But anyway, so the highlights. So for me, as a non-video gamer, the highlights for me were Bowser. His character was funny. Again, I wasn't busting out laughing, but I thought it was amusing because he had this obsession with Princess Peach. He wanted to woo her and marry her, and it was all of the corny things that you see such a character doing, where he's rehearsing in his head not in his head, and out loud for us to see what his first line is going to be. He even practices with one of his minions, like how he's going to propose to her, and it was very silly. Jack Black is the voice for this character, so of course they also have a musical number. I've thought a lot of, Jack Black, I guess I would say. I thought of Jack Black, but I was kind of getting an Elton John love song sort of vibe from this one moment, and you'll see it twice in the movie if you stay for after the credits. And that was fun. I liked that character. I also enjoyed Donkey Kong. I think that the Donkey Kong character was funny. He had this complex where he wanted everybody to think he was cool, and he wanted to, always do the cool things, and it's kind of hard to explain because you just got to see what his character is. But those were the most enjoyable characters for me. Everybody else was fine. Thought they were great. Not great, but they were good. The other super draw for me is the music. I'm a big movie soundtrack lover. I usually can pick out, I would say pre-2010, I could pick out the composer in a movie, usually within the first minute of hearing their music, sometimes within the first measure of music. This one was, I've never heard of this composer before, but he did a great job, and I really, really enjoyed hearing the Super Mario themes, the various themes, fully symphonized. There was a full orchestra, and I could picture myself. I play the piano, but nothing else, and not very well at piano. I could just imagine people in that orchestra going like do 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 do. You could see with your brain eyes that this was something that all of the musicians were probably having a blast playing. So that was a big highlight for me. I probably will download the soundtrack to this, not the contemporary music, but the actual, the original composed music for this particular movie. I would probably download that and listen to it if I wanted to be having fun doing something. Like if I'm on a car ride and I got a bunch of kids in the back, I'm gonna be like, hey guys, it's Mario Brothers time, and you turn it up and just go. Because it's catchy. Who can deny that the Super Mario Brothers themes are catchy? They are so catchy, and they're fun and energetic, and, I also really loved, it's the more melancholy theme. It's like, do-do-do-do-do-do. Oh my gosh, I cannot sing. Plus my voice doesn't go down very deep. There's a moment in the movie where Bowser is playing that on the piano. So for me, really, the true highlight of this movie was the music. The music was great. I enjoyed it so much, and will probably be downloading it, like I said, so that I can enjoy it on my own without having to watch the movie itself. Not that the movie was bad, just that I've seen it and I don't need to see it again. So, another quick thing that I wanted to mention, and this was actually more of a, you go to the movies and you go with another adult, and then you sit down with them and you kind of discuss what your takeaway is from a movie like this. And this was between me and my brother-in-law, and we both had the same feelings towards this movie, even though he's big time into Super Mario Brothers and I'm not. And we both felt like this is a good one to put the kids in front of, but then you sort of want to ask yourself, is it one that you want your kids to grow up feeling like this is entertainment for them? Because it was a lot of action all the time. Anytime that there was a pause to do some character exploration, which I'm not sure why, they really didn't need to do any, because it was very contrived, and it was very quick movement through the development of these characters, and sometimes it didn't go anywhere, it made sense. But you know, do you want your kids to sit through a movie where they feel like they have to have this sort of video game experience where there's action and action and action, and then the pause is very quick, almost like they're going, go, and then more action, more action. And we both agreed that, you know what, this sort of thing is fun once in a while, but it shouldn't be the standard. This should not be the way that movies are always made, especially for little kids. Yes, it is a good way to keep their brains occupied, but it's probably not healthy to constantly feel like they have to be not bombarded by action, but constantly have action going on. A really good example of somebody who does not do this is Hayao Miyazaki, who is, if you're not familiar with his work, he's kind of like the Pixar of Japan or the Walt Disney of Japan, except all his work is traditional 2D animation. And he will animate things that are mundane, but so interesting to look at. Like in Spirited Away, there's a part where the little girl, how she puts her shoes on and taps her toes, and he took the time to have that moment, and I will put my little nephew in front of that when he was much younger, and he's mesmerized because he's never seen that sort of thing animated before, and it made him think about how he ties his shoes. I remember I saw him tap his toes once, you know, to make sure that the heels popped into his shoes. So anyway, the point is this is a great once-off movie, but you maybe want to ask yourself, is this the sort of thing that I always want my children to be watching? I want them to see this sort of thing as like, this is the baseline for entertainment for them. If you have little kids and you want to take them to a movie that won't be a complete waste of your time or make you feel like, oh my gosh, I want to kill myself because it's so obnoxious, this is a good one to go and see with them. If your kids are older, I would say 10 and up, you might think about just waiting for this to come out streaming, unless you're a real moviegoer. Like if you love going to the movies, then this is the one for you. If you're an adult though, and you're expecting something like like Despicable Me, where it has that more emotional draw to it, it's got a little bit more put into the developing of a character, this one's not it. Anyway, let me know what you thought about it. Did you think that it was spectacular? Did you like all the sound effects? I loved all the sound effects. Were you kind of like me, where you got in there and you were like, that was entertaining, but I probably didn't need to see it in theaters? Let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you're feeling really, if you're feeling really, what the hell's the word I'm looking for? If you're feeling really generous, maybe check out my Patreon or Ko-fi. I do prefer Ko-fi because Patreon actually takes a percentage of any money that you give to creators. They take at least 10%. So Ko-fi's the way to go. They take nothing. Other than that, have fun at the movies and be good to yourself.